Hello again. Welcome to another edition of MasterMind Minutes. My name is Gary Okigrosso. I am the managing partner and founder of Franchise Growth Solutions, the publisher of FranchiseMoneymaker.com and a variety of other things. You can go to our website and learn all about who we are and what we do. MasterMind Minutes, for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, is a webcast/podcast designed to have one guest, one question, one expert answer in minutes, not hours, so we won't take a lot of your time. And while I realize that generally that is a tease, what we do is we will give you all of the contact information for our guests at the end of the program, as well as post it up on the webcast and podcast content where this can be watched, such as LinkedIn and YouTube, and where you can hear it, such as Spotify, Apple, and Google. Today, my guest is Seth Price, and Seth is an accomplished attorney and a founding partner of Price Benowitz LLP, as well as the founder and CEO of BluShark Digital, and that's actually how we met and started talking. Seth took a two-person law firm and scaled it to 40 lawyers in less than a decade. Now Seth has taken the same digital power that built his firm to create a best-in-class digital agency focused on the legal sector. And Seth, before we get into our question, tell us a little bit about BluShark, your firm, and then we'll kind of morph in, because I know you've taken that platform and now kind of connected it to the
Absolutely.
platform.
No, thank you for having me. Exciting to be here. You know, as a lawyer, lawyers are not generally known as business people, but I love that side of it. So when I started a law firm, I had my buddy from college and law school. He ran the lawyering. He was doing the sausage making, and I was the marketer. And we built a website, hired another lawyer, built another website, hired another lawyer, and it scaled nicely to the point of, I was like, hey, I could take this in-house team of marketing rock stars and create something that would service others. And historically, we started with law firms, which, as you may or may not know, one of the more competitive spaces. Clicks can be up to $100 or more for just a click, not a call, not a client, but a click. So you got to get pretty good at what you're doing. Something that occurred to me as we launched this new venture, BluShark Digital, was that the needs of franchisors, particularly in areas where people are searching to find a solution, just like a lawyer. If you get a DUI, you may not want to call your friends and family. You may want to find it directly. Just like if you need an exterminator, a carpet cleaner, some people call their friends, but some people need that instant gratification quickly. So my philosophy has always been, I want to optimize a website. Everybody has a website, right? That's not new, but getting a website found for somebody who's never heard of you before is my passion. And where I see the franchise world in the most need, which is just like a law firm, you build a website for your business, and then you slate lawyers underneath that. So when you have a franchise, the franchisor is somebody who can take a website and build authority to that. That's what optimization is, getting up to the front of Google, to the top of Google.
Okay, let me just interrupt here,
Sure.
because you're kind of getting into what we want to talk about. And
Sure.
So just again, for the sake of the folks listening, the question here is, how can franchisors leverage or better leverage their websites to do what they want that website to do, which essentially is two things. Number one, generate leads to help sell franchises and expand the franchise community. And in some cases, the franchise website is a portal that franchisees use for other information, be it updates and manuals and things of that nature. So how are franchisors now using them? Where do you see opportunities, and what does BluShark do to leverage that?
And so, look, the funny part was I was taking a New Yorker very seriously about one question, so I thought I had to answer it all with one. But what I would say is the following: let's take all of that administrative stuff. That's not my world. I don't want to say I don't care about it, but that is administrative, and how you deal with how somebody deals with their franchisees and gets them information. That is almost something that potentially would be on a separate URL, in the sense that for me, I want every piece of, I want every ounce of energy, every dollar of resources going towards ROI facing the consumer. That's my game, right? So you can get your employee manuals and your best practices to your franchisees. Not my, I don't want to say not my concern, but what I sort of I'm passionate about is, everybody has their role to play in this. And to me, it's how do you get customers to the franchisee that makes everybody successful? And so to me, and I don't like the term secret sauce because it's not like it's fairy dust, it's hard work. But if you take a website and you say to yourself, Google has to choose who is best for my topic. And if you show Google you have the best answer, that you are the most authoritative answer to a question of where do you go for XY service, then that you're going to win because you will come up above your competition. There's paid search and there's organic search. And to me, the greatest place to leverage resources is the fact that the franchisor, by making their website authoritative, will allow each franchisee to benefit because the juice, the authority of the URL comes down to each location. And that if you're building content and links to the mothership, that as you go franchise.com/Albuquerque /Denver, that each of those locations will benefit by the authority built to the mothership. Does that make sense?
It does. It's a little bit different than I guess my perception initially when I think about a franchise website, keeping in mind that I'm on the development side. So yes, we always recommend to our franchisor clients that they have two separate URLs. One,
okay. Glad that I'm
sell whatever it is they sell, pizza, burgers, painting, that's the consumer side. And like you have what you're concerned with. On my side, I'm not concerned with that.
And there can be a button on the consumer-facing site. Oh, I love this product so much. How do I buy a friend? Like that, you don't want to give up on that.
No, we don't give up on it, but we don't ever want to drive franchise-centric traffic to a consumer franchise site because we just can't track it. So what most franchisors are concerned with, it's yes, to a certain extent, driving guests or customers to their outlets, to their franchised outlets, but that's really the responsibility of the individual franchisee to a great extent.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that I think it's a missed opportunity.
Well, you're probably right. You're probably right about that because on the other side of the equation, what franchisors focus on is driving potential franchisees, investors, to the franchise website. Now, part of telling that story as to, let's make a compelling argument here as to why you should be a franchisee of XYZ company. Part of that, a large part of that is how well do your franchisees do? So if you have a mechanism that helps franchisees make more money, because that's what it's all about, let's not mince words, make more money, make more profit, then ultimately when a franchise candidate calls that franchisee and says, well, how are you doing? What does the company do to help you? That franchisee is going to validate better. So I'd like to know more about that end of it,
right?
How driving to the consumer site,
right? No, and that's everything to me. And not that look, and also when somebody's deciding which franchise to buy, there may be a half dozen to a dozen mosquito cleanup franchises. The question is, if somebody's deciding and they Google and one person has a marketing advantage over the rest of the world, that is something that's going to go, that would make your job. So when I look at you as somebody who's going and presenting to potential franchisees, if the answer is, hey, we're giving you a brand and we're giving you best practices, but you're on your own, versus, hey, we are taking a website, the consumer-facing website, we have put the resources in to make it authoritative so that when somebody searches for mosquito, for mosquito cleanup, that the consumer that will see this as an option. And where this is important is, again, SEO itself in 5 seconds or less is 4 things. It's authoritative content, it's high quality links coming into your site, it's a well-coded site, and it's the local or the Google My Business. And if the franchisor, whether collectively or by itself, builds authority to its main domain, that authority will then go down so that when you do get a new franchisee, they don't need to age a domain. And I'll explain this in a second. They can simply have a page on the domain, which is franchise.com/location, right? And that by doing that, that will bring immediate eyeballs, clients, money that couldn't be generated if you said, hey, you're on your own, go build your own website. Building your own website, for example, which is not a best practice in general for franchisors, takes a long time, it's expensive. And if you look at a mom and pop, if somebody wants to enter the market without buying a franchise from you, they need to develop a website and build authority on their own. Whereas here, you can create this at the mothership level. And then each of the franchisees will have a much, much easier time. They can focus on their local, getting reviews, getting social contact. And this is the beautiful part about all this. When the local franchisee gets links built into its pages, yes, it benefits their local city, but it also will benefit the overall authority of the site and the health of that overall site, which then allows all of these others to prosper. So that it's sort of the rising tide concept.
And that makes sense. Just before you jump to the next topic, let me, or the next part, because you said you wanted to talk about something in particular. You know, different franchise companies really rely on their company website in different ways, and it has a very different weighted average, if you will. So let's talk about a service business and a restaurant. Okay, so restaurants, yes, they do want traffic to their site, and sometimes they have a direct order online, which they love, so that it bypasses the third-party ordering platform and all the fees that go along with that. And I've done a lot of those websites where you put in your zip code, and once you do that, your location comes up forever on your computer because it remembers it. Now, that being said, that's important. But where is it critical? And there's a difference between, hey, it's important for business, and where is it critical? In a restaurant, if I'm going to go have, you know, Chipotle, let's say, I'm going to the Chipotle website. You're not driving me there. I'm not Googling Mexican food. I know where I want to go. Now, on the service side, it's very different. And I have a couple of service businesses, and I said this to the founder of one of my service franchises, a young guy, doesn't really remember the yellow pages. Okay, so let's quickly just refresh everyone's memory or teach people about the yellow pages. Big, thick, fat book. Pages were yellow, and it was just advertisements for the most part. And what I learned early on with the yellow pages was you had to name your company A Plumber.
Exactly.
So that you got the first page in the plumbing section.
And it went back and forth. At one point, some of the yellow pages were all A's. The more A's, the better. And some was a single A. So it would be A space A, because that was like depending on the hierarchy.
Absolutely. So
were you out of the yellow pages industry?
No. I was in years ago. I was in the.
That was everything though. Before the internet, that's all there was.
And I had some clients who, you know, you had the full page, first page in that category in the yellow pages. So what's the relationship? So here's the relationship as I see it. If you're a service business, unlike a restaurant, I have my favorite restaurant, so I'm Googling that restaurant, going to their website and ordering. If I need a plumber, a painter, or an electrician, chances are I'm Googling, you know, electrician, Bergen County, New Jersey.
Correct.
And whoever comes up on that first 3 or 4 Google either ads or blue lines, as they're called, that's kind of like being the first page in the yellow page.
Exactly.
Invariably, that's who people call. So talk to me about that. And if I'm making
no, I think, look, it's a continuum, right? If you're somebody who's going to Chipotle, yes, that's less of an issue. You just need to make sure Chipotle comes up. But I'll give you an example. And again, I'm not advocating for this. I'm just giving you an example on the continuum. Let's say it's a hibachi restaurant. They're not on every corner. And if you're trying to figure out where to take your kid for his birthday, that may be something where search is more valuable than it is for a Tex-Mex fast casual, right? But as you said, the ultimate area, in my opinion, very analogous to law or, you know, cosmetic surgery, are things that people need and then they don't need, meaning they need it in a hurry and they need it quickly. So the more urgency there is to something, or the more of a one-time purchase that's not reoccurring, those are the ones that are incredibly synergistic to what I'm talking about. Because people, yes, they can check with their friends, and that's not different than other places, but certain areas it's instant. Some of it, you just get sick of all the different feedback you're getting from other people. A lot of people want to do their own research, and that's where social proof comes in. So first you have to appear, whether it's paid or whether it's organic. And then that's what I'm saying. The franchisees have an entire portfolio to take care of as far as curating reviews and making sure that when somebody gets there, it's needed. And so, this morning I had one of my the wheels balanced in our minivan. It was making some noise. I checked at Jiffy Lube the other day. They said go anywhere but this place, and then I checked I checked online of the two places that were left after eliminating one. One had great Google reviews and one didn't. So that was going to be my path to finding the place I go to this afternoon. I think it's very similar here, but the key is you won't even have a shot of showing up on that first page of the yellow pages. In those first pages, if the franchisor doesn't pay its dues, it's not going to be successful down the line when you get to that local search.
Yeah, and that makes perfectly good sense. So let me ask you this question here again, same topic, but so do you then go in and build a website ground up, or do you go into the franchisor, analyze their current website, and then teach them what they need to do in order to optimize it, and then actually perform the optimization? What is
right? So great question. The answer is like everything, it depends. I'll tell you our philosophy. We will take a URL. Anybody listening, happy to do this for free. We take a URL, we run a battery of reports. How many inbound links are coming into your website? How many pages of content do you have? How is that ranking? How is the code structured? Of your franchisees that exist, are their Google My Businesses complying with best practices to be found? You don't want to confuse Google. And what I have seen so far, that the smaller to mid-sized franchises, it's a hot mess. Not difficult to fix, but if you don't fix it, you're not going to be found as well as others. And then once we do that, the answer is whether somebody needs a new look and feel. And frankly, websites are like iPhones. You want a new one every so many years just because there's newer look and feel, modernization. But regardless of whether somebody needs a new look and feel, the bones of it are rarely right. And so for us, just like, we believe that we are very savvy in how to code a website so that the technical part, because remember, Google is not looking at this as a human. A Google bot is coming through your website to read what's on it. So if it is not coded well, that bot gets confused. So we have a dual purpose. We need the consumer to get through their process of finding you, but we also need the Google bot to do that as well. So what we would say to somebody is, if you love your look and feel, we may need to reorganize how your content is laid out in the code, but you won't see a difference to the outside. Or, you know what, it's been 5 years since we updated our website. We do that. And our philosophy is we roll that into our monthly maintenance fee, because what we are doing is, and we look at, and I think you probably take this philosophy, if you look at somebody as a vendor-vendee, if somebody says, hey, go make me money, does not work nearly as well as somebody who treats you as a partner, who works with you, who gets you content, who helps you with reviews, who does all of this together. When you work collaboratively with somebody, so much more effective is our philosophy. And that is where we bring all those resources. So to answer your question, we upfront run our set battery of reports. We recommend a new back end of the website, but the front end may or may not need to change depending on somebody's preference.
Okay, great. Well, look, pleasing the gods of Google is something that, I talk about a lot. Look, it's a fascinating topic in the sense that, there's a lot to be learned, but I think more than just fascinating, it's of vital importance that businesses understand the website and what a tremendous asset it is. People, especially older folks who have been in business for a while, I think they don't necessarily associate the true value that their website has. And for me, it's the billboard to the world. So Seth, if folks want to get in touch with you,
I'm going to do a very personal approach to your world here. My cell phone, 347-661-9999, 347-661-9999. Feel free to call or text. You can also hit info@homesharkdigital.com. But I'd love to, personally, and again, even if you don't need anything, I love geeking out on this. I'm happy to talk to anybody about their issues, because it's not like, to me, if you just sort of, Cy Sims used to say, as an old New Yorker, if somebody is educated as to what's going on, we can work with them. If somebody's like, hey, this is all mumbo jumbo, here's some money, I know it doesn't work as well as when the franchisor says, I get the value here. And if we can educate somebody to that point, it makes it so much more effective for them, for us, and for the franchisees.
That's great, and we will post the number and the email and the website on the podcast. So two things. First of all, thank you for the reference to Cy Sims. Yes, his slogan was, "An educated consumer is our best customer,"
and it's still with you all these years later.
Oh, it's 50 years later. And the other piece I just wanted to mention to you, because I know you've got ties here in New York. So the last week we've gotten, last Tuesday, we got about 26 inches of snow. Yesterday, we got another 6 inches of snow. They're predicting 2 more now. We haven't had snow up here like this in a couple of years. But I have to say, looking at the background of where you are, I see some palm trees and things. Just for our friends up here in the Northeast who are freezing, because today it's like 15 degrees. Where are you at, and what's the temperature?
So basically, I'm a New Yorker at heart. I live in D.C., the D.C. suburbs now. My parents are still in New York. They just got their second shots the other day. Thankfully, New York got the over 80 crowd in, which I was thankful for. But I when the pandemic hit, I put the whole family in the minivan, and we just like Henry Hill got out of town, and we are now in witness protection in west of Fort Lauderdale. We don't know any of our neighbors. We got a beautiful setup with a pool and on a canal, and we're just waiting it out down here. We'll come back when the weather breaks.
Well, look, for those of you who are actually watching this as a webcast, I will say it looks beautiful there. Seth, thank you so much. I appreciate the time. Again, those of you who are really interested in optimizing your website, learning how to leverage it, make more money, do better things for your franchisees, get in touch with Seth, and he'll be happy to take a look and offer his advice. Seth, thank you again so much for the information. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary.